Bruce Miller,
Here.
John Clark, Chris Colbert, William Gilbert,
Here.
Patricia Griffin,
Here.
Kirk Martin,
Here.
Scott Tracy.
All right, thank you. And any changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Public comment. Do we have any public comment slips?
No public comments.
All right. Well, this is the time that any member of the public may address us on a non-agenda item. Well, seeing no rise to the floor, we will proceed to notices that the Lease Review Subcommittee met on Thursday, July 1st at 10 a.m. in the Airport Administration Building. We'll be hearing more about that later, and that on Wednesday, July 14th at 3 p.m. the Airport Commission Secretary duly posted this agenda item on the bulletin board in that really small paper. I'm still wondering why it's always so small. But anyways, conservation, yes. All right, the consent calendar. Do we have any items to withdraw from the calendar? Okay. I accept a motion. Do I have?
Move for approval.
And second? Did I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Okay, thank you. All in favor of approving the consent calendar as proposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the consent calendar carries then. All right, our liaison report, and we have a full boat of liaisons today. They're fighting over the opportunity to. Good evening.
Somewhat symbolic that the two of us come in together. The city of Santa Barbara
Arm
has
in
once
arm.
again shown commendable restraint and neighborliness, for which we in Goleta are very thankful. Hopefully, one of these days, economic conditions will be such that a high employer-type person will look at that and say, what a wonderful piece of land, and do I want to be here?
Yes.
And there'll be wonderful places for them to eat lunch in Old Town, and all will be happy, well in the world, and we'll all go to the seashore, as was once said in a movie that I remember far too well. Which, if anybody remembers that, you're much too old to be around. But I have no news to report from the city that is in any way relevant to the airport. I do note that you have a wonderful mural, and I didn't see what school that came from.
It's actually a program from the West Side Center downtown. So it's a group of students from different
Well, they had the commendable grace to say welcome to Santa Barbara and Goleta,
And Goleta.
for which we are grateful. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Easton. And good evening, Councilmember Grant. House.
That's nice of you. Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. Well, I was just going to say I didn't get a chance to come to the unveiling of the mural, but it really is exciting and it's beautiful. And it's the Santa Barbara Arts Alliance, right? That Carlos Cuellar and that group that worked with the young people, and they do great work in town. They've helped us help the young people do beautiful murals in some of the public buildings in our parks, which have become relatively graffiti-proof because there's a real sense of ownership and pride, and people respect that. And East Side, West Side, all around the town, including at the airport. So we're very excited about this and very happy. And the only real news is the one that I think was being alluded to, is that in a council action, we decided not to entertain the proposal from Target to locate at the airport specific plane area, property number 20,
Parcel 22.
Parcel 22. Yeah, I get it right. And so, and we think we did it in a very legal and above board fashion, to be honest with you, having checked with our attorney once again this morning. So I think I just want to say we've really we really are hopeful for something really wonderful that would be appropriate there at some point in the future. I'm sure all of us are. It's my personal opinion. And certainly we're very respectful of our adjacency and inclusion with our partner in the area, which is Goleta, the city of Goleta. And we take that responsibility really seriously. Enough said on that, and thank you very much. Have a great meeting.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, and that then, let me also add that we have been joined by Commissioner Colbert for the record.
I come late just to hear my name.
Yes. All right, the administrative reports. We have the airport commercial industrial lease rates.
Okay, we're here before you once again to try to establish our lease rates for the FY 2011 year. And first of all, we'll just start with the Business and Properties Program mission statement. We manage the fixed assets to ensure the airport's self-sufficiency and maintain a strong financial position through prudent fiscal management practices. Our Business and Properties division, we manage the assets. We have commercial, industrial, and aviation uses, and 97% of the airport revenue is derived from these assets, fees, and rentals. Commercial industrial properties in fiscal year 2010 exceeded our target by 6.8%. We actually raised $4,157,313. And for those of you that do not know me, I'm Rebecca Fribley. I'm the Senior Property Management Specialist. This is a pie chart that basically shows our operating revenues. As you can see, the commercial industrial portion of those revenues is $3,977,000 projected for next year. Non-commercial aviation is $1,095,000, and the terminal assets are projected at $4,927,000, with commercial aviation producing $2,637,000. The airport has currently 52 buildings that are managed. We total 341,561 leasable square feet. At this time, 97.8% of that is leased. That is down 0.5% from last year. On the land side, we have 109 acres. 97.8% coincidentally is also currently leased. That's down 1.37% from last year. We have 117 tenants and 136 agreements. Some tenants have multiple agreements, which is why those numbers don't agree. We have a diversity of tenant types. Have the airlines and related terminal concessions such as the rental cars, taxi cabs, parking services. Then we also have general aviation agreements with the FBOs and everything from our T-hangar tenants to Stratman Aero Services. We also have commercial industrial leases, most of which are on the north side of the airport. To establish our rates, we look to our FAA guidelines, which require that we maintain our rates at market. Santa Barbara Airport establishes these rates annually based on a number of comparables, including the UCSB economic forecast data, any current appraisals that we may have, and local real estate comparables, which we collect over a period of approximately 6 weeks prior to the time that we establish these rates. State of the economy. As you know, things have not been great in the last year. The local commercial real estate market is currently experiencing a reduction in rental rates in many areas. The Consumer Price Index in 2009 was actually in negative numbers for several months, which resulted in an average CPI for last year of a negative 0.08%. This year, from January until June, which is the latest CPI released, we're at a positive 1.6%, but that's hardly robust. In 2009, the airport was impacted by having a number of tenants with term leases come to us and request consolidation of their leased sites. In some cases, tenants actually gave up properties if we were a satellite site for them. In other cases, they requested that they have their premises reduced in order to achieve rental decreases. We saw a slight increase in delinquent accounts. We saw tenants coming in requesting other forms of rental abatement, and vacant properties tended to remain on the market longer. This is particularly true of large spaces, whether they were building spaces or land. As a response to this crisis, we explored some new advertising opportunities, and I think most of you have seen our signs on the buildings and fences. Those have been somewhat effective, although it's been rather interesting because people take them as not a generic rental advertisement, but a rental advertisement for whatever they happen to actually be on. We also enacted, with the guidance of Airport Commission, a one-year moratorium on rental increases that was effective September 1st, 2009 for all of our month-to-month tenants. And we did work with tenants who wished to reduce their premises in order to achieve savings. We have 58 tenants that benefited from the moratorium on rental increases. We had 10 tenants that reduced their premises or renegotiated new term leases. The total loss to the airport for that period of time will be $20,035. These are the short summary of the comparables that we studied over the period from approximately March through the end of May. We found that most Goleta office space averages about $1.49 per square foot. The airport's at $1.48. So we were very pleased by that. Industrial R&D spaces in Goleta were at $1.14. The airport is at $1.06. And that, I think, is probably a condition issue more than anything else. There really were no warehouse spaces comparable to those at the airport that came on the market during the study, and also no land. But currently, the airport averages approximately 75 cents per square foot for warehouse space, 15 cents for unpaved land, and 21 cents for paved land. We're proposing for the fiscal year 2010 to 2011 that we maintain our lease rates at the current level. The reason for this is that we feel that the upper end of the rates are still going to be adequate to accommodate any kind of recovery that might happen in 2011. The annual lease adjustments, when most of our month-to-month leases and the majority of our term leases as well, currently require adjustments of no less than 3% and no greater than 8% annually. However, because of the decline in the rental rates and the weak CPI numbers, we discussed with Lease Review Subcommittee a somewhat smaller increase for the next year, and they concurred that a 1.5% increase would be appropriate. So we're recommending to Airport Commission that we maintain rental rates at FY 2010 levels for FY 2011, and that you concur with a one-year reduction in the annual rental adjustment to 1.5% for month-to-month tenants.
Yes.
Chris?
Just a comment and clarification. Last year there was no increase for month to month.
Correct.
So there's really isn't a reduction here per se. It's actually an increase of 1.5%, which is parallel, which is mimicking current CPI.
Correct.
Again, for the month to month tenants. So, as an aside, large picture, totally support your observations in the market and want to acknowledge your efforts to maintain the occupancy levels that you have at the rates you have. And it's a remarkable job. So,
Thank you.
yeah, great job.
I'm going to ask that we split. These are essentially two recommendations. We have a recommendation for the rental rates themselves for the commercial industrial, and then we have a separate recommendation for the annual rental adjustment to be set at 1.5% for the upcoming year. I am then going to dismiss myself from the second item, as I am a tenant and would be impacted by the second item. So
Your rates actually go to 5%.
Is that a second motion?
let me ask if we have discussion on the rental rates themselves, which are those that were proposed. Any further discussion, questions? We have-
I'd like to recommend approval.
Second that, third it.
Okay, all in favor of the commercial industrial rates as proposed?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you. And that would take us to the second item, and I will let our vice chair take that item for any discussion and any vote.
First question, is there any discussion on the one-year reduction and the 1.5 for month-to-month tenants?
I do
raising
have a question. Clarification, is this a month-to-month tenancies apply strictly to commercial industrial, or is this applying to month-to-month tenancies that you have in the terminal? Or T-hangers?
It includes-
Wait, just saw our chair walking out. That's why I asked.
Commissioner Colbert, the rate adjustment is for all month-to-month tenants that are in commercial industrial, as well as the T-hanger tenants.
Okay.
And in our month-to-month agreements, it states that annually, on your anniversary date, your rent will be increased by the CPI, but no less than 3, no greater than 8.
Yeah.
So in order to implement this particular 1.5% increase, we're going to take advantage of that and redo our month-to-month leases and make sure that all of those documents are brought up to date with all of the current information that we have, including stormwater prevention and IPM and those sorts of things. So,
Okay. Well, maybe
but it also applies to T-hangers, yes.
All right, and so for the commission's benefit, this action is specific to the month-to-month. There's no change in the policy for the long-term tenancies.
That's correct, because
Okay.
term leases are not part of this particular recommendation.
And for everybody's peace of mind, this is a month-to-month situation. If there was a runaway inflation 6 months from now, then, in theory, you could change your rent structure.
Tenant retention has always been a real goal of ours, to maintain the tenants that we have and to work with them, because the majority of them, as Rebecca tells you each time you look at a lease proposal, they're small business, and we'd like to keep as many as we can. So we're willing to adjust our revenue projections to meet that goal.
Well, if you're looking for a motion,
We're not
Vice Chair.
quite done with discussion yet.
excuse me.
And just commending the team, because retaining tenants preserves the revenue more than raising the rent. If you lose a tenant or a few, you lose much more revenue than you would have in a rent increase, and so commendation to that. Is there any other discussion or questions on the issue?
Just to give you some further information, our month-to-month leases all contain a termination provision that gives both the airport and the tenant the ability to give a 30-day notice.
Sure.
So in the case of runaway inflation, we can always do a new lease.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Vice Chair,
Thank you.
I do have a quick follow-up question on your presentation. the amount of commercial industrial rents short of $4 million. I'm curious to know, because your rents are accumulation of rents received over land, unapproved, approved, buildings that may have not existed 5 years ago, or weren't there, not here today. It's a mobile number. But would you say that, setting aside inflation, I'm just more interested in knowing if you were to look 4 or 5 years down the road, do you see the rents being more or less the same, or are you looking at any significant, let's say, building that's here today is going to be gone next year in terms of its age, or I'm just looking for any variances that positive or negative over the short term.
Well, ultimately, I think it's
In the commercial industrial area.
right, in the commercial industrial area, it would be our goal to get the highest and best use from those properties, which would probably not be yard uses, ultimately. But that's a long-term project.
Okay.
And right now, the airport's capital, of course, is tied up with the terminal project and other projects that we're completing.
Right.
So at the moment, we're getting approximately, on parcel 22, we get approximately $300,000 a year in land rents on temporary lots.
Wow.
And in terms of future plans, I think I'll defer to the airport director.
Well, that was nifty.
Good segue.
I think in the short term, the answer is no, we don't really see any startling changes.
Thank you.
I would like to recall Chairman Miller.
He's left the building now.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. I've just learned, and I'd like to commend the city for having an electronics waste recycling receptacle in the break room. I think that's a great thing. All right. Shocking. That too. Okay. And I think with that, I believe we've concluded item 8. Very good. Which brings us to the director's report.
Okay. Well, starting with item A, our passenger count, and I believe you have a revised passenger count that's been handed out as we discovered an error, a good error, actually. The passenger count for June compared to June of last year is up 6.4%. And I backed out Frontier's numbers, and we would have been down, I think, a little over 4% had it not been for Frontier starting service. So that's has had a very positive impact. And even United's numbers in terms of load factors are way up there as well. So Frontier really has not done any damage to the Denver flight in terms of United's passengers.
I'd like to comment that I've had lots of positive comments on Frontier's service.
Yes, me as well. I've heard very, very good things about the airplane and about the service in general. And United's load factors, they have 3 flights now that normally they would have 3 flights during kind of the peak seasons, but now they have 3 flights to Denver just through the end of all their scheduling. So I guess maybe that's what a little competition will do. So anyway, both flights, or all the flights to Denver are either, I think it's like over 80% load factor, which is almost essentially full, which is a good thing. That means we still have leakage happening in terms of people not being able to get a seat. And year-to-date, we're down 0.4%. So that's really heading in the right direction. In terms of air service, as we're just mentioning about Frontier Airlines, are doing very well. Their corporate executives seem to be pretty pleased about how the service is progressing. So if they're excited, we're excited. Today we attended a meeting that was hosted by Citrix Online and the Galeta Valley Chamber of Commerce regarding the loss of San Jose service, and Commissioner Gilbert attended. I thought it was a productive meeting. Part of the meeting was kind of an Air Service 101 to kind of educate people how airlines begin service or pull back service, and for what reasons. And then also encouraging the group of businesses that really depend on that San Jose service to work with the airport in a collaborative effort to approach other airlines to hopefully be able to start, fill that service in the future. So anyway, I thought it was good. I don't know if Commissioner Gilbert has any comments that you wanted to add about the meeting today at Citrix.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing today. This thing isn't working. I'm just not hearing you. For some reason or other.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear. Can you hear me?
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so it's my fault. I'm not close.
This is on the what?
On the Citrix meeting today. Did you have anything?
Yeah, it was interesting that they want to get us more travel up to San Jose and get more what it's costing the local industry because they can't bring people back. But there's more to it than just Galetas. Like I said, we needed to get with SBIA and some of these other organizations and get a true picture of how many people are really traveling, because it is like all businesses, it's got to pay one way or the other. And the meeting was good. There was a lot of questions, a lot of answers, and I hope that we'll get that questionnaire that was filled out. It'd be interesting to hear from ourselves what the values are and what they're willing to do, but also through the entire community. I say SBIA, but I can think of a number of other organizations that feed into the Santa Barbara Airport that would have the technical business or something up in the San Jose market. But I thought it was a very good meeting and very informative. It opens some of the local people's eyes as to what really is concerned on how to do something when it comes to the airport. We don't know how much we control and what we can and can't do to support the activities. So.
Okay. So there'll be more on that later, I'm sure. But at least it was a good start, and I have to commend Citrix and the Galeta Valley Chamber for bringing the group of concerned passengers together to try and, number one, to understand what the issues are, and number two, to try and have a game plan for moving forward. Okay. The next item I wanted to point out was the youth mural installation. Mabel put together a few of the slides from the event. Commissioner Gilbert attended, and I'll let him report on that. Just as way of background, for a little over the last year, the airport has participated in the Youth Apprenticeship Program. And basically their goal, it's a city program, and basically the goal was to try and find summer employment for youth. Part of our issue is with the environment and the security environment that we work in is trying to employ on the airport, not just with the airport department, but the airport in general, young people who are under the age of 18 is not an easy task. So we developed a special program to bring these students out to the airport, take them, not only give them a tour, but take them to the various employers such as the airlines, the fixed base operators, the flight schools, kind of introduce them to careers in aviation. we had a multiple week or month program, and out of that we became associated with the Santa Barbara Arts Alliance and the youth arts programs that they do. And I'll let Bill talk about the event that we had to unveil our mural.
Well, you know, it was interesting that, and I'm glad I was able to attend it. Okay. That's why I'm on the noise committee. I can't hear. I can really hear, but it's just sometimes to be distinct. It was interesting seeing these young people do something. And they talked about how what they learned, the camaraderie, the responsibilities, how to do the work together. 26 young people, young teenagers. That's a lot of them that aren't getting into problems. And I really appreciated one thing that was noted more than anything else. They didn't notice it, but I did. They had a lot of pride in that they did something for the community, and it was appreciated. Mm-hmm. Most of the time you do something, they do something, pick up something, nobody says anything. But these kids did a good job. And that mural, with all it depicts, I'm assuming a little later on to show some of the things, I wish, my thought was that some of that, they might follow on and put it onto tiles, small tiles that we might be able to put somewhere within our organization, because it was a lot of effort for these people. And what they put on, like I say, you can see it, 9 different languages of welcome. That's Santa Barbara, welcome. And these kids were doing it. And I shouldn't use the term kids. Mm-hmm. Teenagers don't like to be called kids, because these were young people that really were doing something and giving it a chance. And I really appreciated them. Yes.
The artist who worked with the students was in the center there, Carlos Cuellar. He's a local muralist, and as you can imagine, working with 26 teenagers is not an easy task to get them going all in the same direction and working together, and learning that they had to be at the mural site on certain days of the week, and they had to be on time and follow through from the beginning of the project to the end. I believe they started in February. So that's a long time to be committed to a project, and I think they did a great job. It was fun to go on site and watch them working on the mural, and I think they took a lot of pride in the finished product. And as much as they might want to look cool at the event, I think they were very touched by the attention that was paid to their efforts, and it was certainly well deserved. And as Councilmember House said, don't know about this particular group of students, but there are others that have participated in other kinds of art projects in the community as well. And I look forward to their bright futures. So that was, we just wanted to share some of the pictures from the event. Mm-hmm. And we have to get the mayor sharper scissors.
Oops. Now, we were talking to these gentlemen, he's connected with some of the youth groups, I believe, mm-hmm. about some of this work that we do with some of it. But it was really an event. I was impressed, very, not just because of this, but these kids, they just really did something. Some of them have gotten jobs now because of this and everything else, but I like to see it continue with more expressions. We got some other places to cover up.
I'm sure we could find some.
And another group, because each group has its own individual, but it was really something. Thank you very much.
Yes, and we enjoy it. Actually, it's a fun part of our jobs. to be able to interact with the students. And as you know, we've been involved in youth activities for many, many years with our aviation education program. And this was just sort of a little bit different bent to that. But anyway, it was a great event, and we're very proud of the mural, and I hope that you're able to drive by and see it, and I'm hoping that the students and their families are able to come by and see it as well, because I think they'll enjoy it. The terminal project is really going gangbusters. As you can see, there's lots of scaffolding all around the building. The work is continuing on the roof decking and the first floor metal stud framing of the building. So a lot of progress is being made, and as far as I know, we're still on schedule and still on budget. Next Tuesday on the council agenda will be 2 of the 3 artist agreements for the public art. The third one will become trailing behind as we've altered we've added the amount of wrought iron railing that is on the second floor. The artist that's doing the decorative elements for that needs to give us a cost for that additional railing, so that agreement will trail just a little bit. So we're on our way with the art. We're on our way. We've been meeting with the food and beverage concession as well as the gift shop concession. They're getting their plans together. So there's a lot of activity going on behind the scenes. It's not evident when you look just out at the construction. So that, I think, concludes my comments. I do want to say we did have the bid meeting for the tidal circulation project, which completes our last piece of mitigation for the runway safety area project. So we're moving along on that as well. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you may have that I didn't cover in the director's report.
Councilmember House.
Yes, I just wanted to take a quick moment and just acknowledge this art element in the project. I know at the very beginning of the whole terminal design, there were some of us, Mr. Gilbert among others, and I, who really had an interest and a concern that there be art as a fundamental aspect of the design of this, and to see the staff take it so seriously and have it really be fully integrated into the project, and it's just wonderful. And as a council member, I've had an opportunity to speak to some of those who were selected to provide that art, and I just want to share back how proud they are to be a part of this monumental project, and and really I think it's going to reflect in the outcome. There's a sense that they're part of something that's just really, I mean, it's historic, and it will make a difference for our traveling public. So again, I just step forward to commend our staff and the entire design team for getting it to this level. And I will just also add, one of the gentlemen that was in the pictures up here with that other project with the mural was Pete Leva, and he has worked for years with our youth on the Lower West Side. And we don't have that one little center anymore, but he's still actively involved. And Carlos and Pete both are highly respected by the young people because of they get to know them on an everyday basis. And for the young people to succeed like this, not just by having done the mural, but as you mentioned, Mr. Gilbert, some actually getting employment with the city and having these opportunities. I mean, just think of how this is going to be for their portfolios as they move forward. So just a moment to breathe some appreciation into this. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very well said.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we all hope that this building will be kind of a landmark for generations, and those pieces of art will be part of that. Okay. I did have one question on item D there, and that was the increase of the purchase order authority with ERA that essentially doubles the purchase authority for the noise monitoring flight tracking.
Well, I'll let Mr. Lincoln answer that since he's been notably quiet this evening.
This will be good. This will be good.
we were able to save quite a bit of money through this project because of some changes in technology. So we were literally complete with the project, and there was quite a fund balance left. And in speaking with Air Corporation, we have our servers on site here hosted, and the next generation of service, of online service, has hosted server services. It's off-site. It's in an air-conditioned room. They have people there 24/7. In addition to that, they offer professional services, assist with reports. A lot of very important items to us, particularly to assist our noise specialists when needed. I asked the FAA if the fund balance would be available to purchase, and they said that they felt that it fell within the parameters of the program and that it would be. So I asked ERA to provide a few options because I wasn't sure what the cost would be, and then I took forward to council the one that I thought would serve us best. It results in an additional new server off-site, including 3 years of service and upgrades to the server, as well as technical service and professional support for us in-house whether it's reprogramming gates when we want to monitor a particular corridor to see if planes are bust in that area, or if we want to produce new reports. So we're very pleased about it and very excited that the FAA has indicated that they will approve it. I was just on the phone with them today, getting the final paperwork heading in their direction.
So the funding for this is FAA funding? Okay.
That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you.
But the clarification, you mentioned 3 years, a 3-year commitment?
I think Hazel mentioned something that was a good point. Had we not used the grant funds, it would have gone back to the FAA. So it's nice to be able to use it here at our airport.
Okay, Commissioner, you had a question?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was the item.
Outstanding report.
Thank you. Okay. Any other items or questions, I should say? All right. Well, no other questions then. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.